Hello, hello, beautiful people. I am Denise Pendergrass, co-chair of the Lauderhill Peace 365. Welcome to Peace and Me Live series. Starting today and the next two Tuesdays, we will be having two more series, May 26th and June 2nd. We're going to be diving into some deep conversations geared towards gun violence and bringing awareness. We are so happy that you're here. So we'll be right back with Prophetess Monique Henry so that we can get the conversation started. Stay tuned.
Yeah. The people here are really known to lead the way. Ain't no shame, we came a long way from hurt and pain. Band together like we drumming up 100K. What a lovely day. Lauderhill, ayy. Lauderhill, ayy. D365 all day, every day. On our way to making waves, watching sea change. Lauderhill, ayy. Lauderhill, ayy. No competition, we just building each other. Stay united and undivided, we gon' win with each other, okay. We band together to uplift, raise the standards, be the gift. Switching gears, leaving hate, putting love back in shift. Why we gotta go to war and leave ourselves with regrets? Okay, the problem ain't a problem, ain't no need to bust a tap. Do you really understand disrespect? Was it just a misunderstanding? It don't take all that, homie, keep that 9 tuck, quit spazzing. Just on the wrong move, you might lose your life, a little rest of it in the slammers truck. Prison over.
Welcome, Lauderhill. I am Monique Henry, chairwoman of Lauderhill Peace 365, and you are joining Peace in Me Live.
And I am Denise Pendergrass, co-chair of the Lauderhill Peace 365, and we can't wait to share these conversations with you guys.
Yes, we are going to be diving into some deep conversations. And tonight, we just want to share a little bit of what the show is going to be about. And so in honor of National Gun Violence Awareness Month, that'll be starting in June, we want to dive into some topics just to get an understanding of what gun violence is and why it takes place. And we know that everything starts internally. And so we want to just dive into that and really discuss some points on, the fact that 52% of deaths in our nation are caused from gun violence. And out of that 52%, 35% of it is our youth. And that's a big deal. And so I know, Denise, you work with a lot of youth, and we're going to go into all of that. Yes. But what do you think are some of the causes of out of that 35%? I forgot to add this. Out of that 35%,
okay,
this is related to not only gun violence, but it's connected to suicide. Correct. And so that lets me know that internally there is a major problem happening in our youth. And so you working with a lot of youth, I work with a lot of youth, but you mentoring them, what are some of the things that you have experienced, if any, with the thoughts of suicide, and what is going through their mind?
That is a great question, Monique. And I would say you saying the percentage, according to the CDC, the Centers of Disease Control Prevention, homicide is one of the leading causes of death amongst our youth with the ages 10 to 24 in the United States. And that is a great number. Yeah. So the age limit is really, it's kind of devastating because as we know, like growing up, we usually see that there are deaths among older people. But now as it relates to gun violence, it's just the kids are, I feel that there's so much exposure. There's so much influence on social media.
Yes.
And what I'm finding out through a lot of kids is that I speak with and that I've dealt with, a lot of children are just wanting to be heard. They're wanting to be seen. And I feel like when it comes to the way society is now, the kids are running to what's accepting to them. And that's money, drugs, sex, all these different things that's not really good for them, but they're comfortable in that setting, because it's accepting to them, and then, kids, and I see that there's less children wanting to even go to church. I hear a lot of kids, they're talking about, we don't have kids at our church, we don't have this at our church, and so forth. And I feel that some of the kids are driving away for the simple fact that they feel like they're being judged. If they come in, smelling or looking a certain type of way, they feel like they're being judged. So it pushes them away. And I feel that it's the lack of, it could be more so guidance, not having that person to talk to. And a lot of our children, that I'm finding out that I've been mentoring, are in single family homes. And I feel that that plays a big part, because our children are seeing that something's missing, or mom's too busy, to even listen. So I think that's been a huge impact, as to depression, because depression leads to suicide. That's one of the big things that leads to suicide. Children feeling like they're not good enough. Being an older sibling in certain homes, everyone's looking up to you. You have more responsibilities, and it could be overwhelming. You know what I mean? So I feel like that is one of the big things amongst our youth, that's happening. And as it relates to gun violence, it's just they're having that access, and where they're getting it from, you don't know. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, the sad part about it is that families are finding out too late. So I think that what we're doing now is a great conversation, because we want to know, we want to hear from our youth, we want to hear from the communities and one of the questions that I do have, from the perspective of today's youth, what do you believe is fueling so much violence in our communities, in our schools right now? I think that's a question that we need, or we could ask the people, to share with us as we're on this live.
I mean, that is a great question. And, going back to, before I answer on my end, and we want the audience to answer, engage with us. We want to hear your thoughts and your concerns and your perspectives. But going back to something you said about the youth, a major key that you said about the youth was they need someone to hear them. And I can say, especially from my experience with suicide, because I'm also coming from that life and hearing that voice and wanting to follow that voice, it really is just a place of loneliness. And, to answer your question, I really believe a lack of self-awareness is what causes gun violence, or violence, period. It's just not being aware of who you are, what triggers you, what angers you, and not allowing it to control you. And so self-discipline plays a big role in violence, because that's why it happens, right? Because there was a lack of restraint internally that caused the outward act. And so if we can begin to, and this is why I love the that we're doing the Peace in Me Live, because it really is going to help us dive into some of these places that we're scared to go internally. We're scared to look at internally. And so I believe that the more self-aware a person is, the better help that they can get, because we all need help. Ain't not one person on this planet
you are absolutely right.
Exempt from needing help. We need each other.
Yes,
and so this is why you have the Lauderhill Peace 365 and the committee and the
correct. So it looks like we may have a little problem with.
You could hear me. There we go. Sorry.
Okay, she's back, you guys.
I'm back. Are you okay? So this is why I'm so thankful that we have the Lauderhill Peace 365 community initiative. We have precious, unique serving hands, because these are avenues, generation of purpose outreach, that reach the youth as well as others and bring awareness to what's really happening, because we know gun violence is here. And sad to say, it's not going to go anywhere. But the more we can help someone be aware of who they are, and push out those pointers and counseling and resources where they can find that help, I believe we'll see a great decrease in gun violence, in violence overall.
Yes, and I actually agree with that. It's just that awareness and giving them the resources and everything that they need. But the thing is, they have to be reminded that there is an outlet.
Yeah.
A lot of our youth, they hold back a lot of things that's on their mind. Like from my experience, I've had a youth come to me because they were so overwhelmed with so much that was going on, and they gave me a call. And this individual, she was like, I was about to drive my car in the lake, but your name just came clearly to me. And it's just having that outlet, having somebody that you can call, pick up the phone and call and talk to about what you're going through. Whether you just have to cry, you have no words, just crying, and having someone to listen and not hang up the phone on you or not say what's wrong. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
someone to just listen
To
without
listen.
judgment,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
I think in the time that we're in, some of that is very, I mean, if it was difficult for me when I was a child, and I'm 40
Exactly.
plus, I know that now it's even worse because you have so much feeding you. You
Yes.
have social media and what's projected out there and what life should look like or could look like, and what true friends are, and the truth of the matter is you have to find a safe place, what works for you, and grow in that you know
Yes.
um when I was growing up, I wasn't, a thug or anything like that, but I did my share of dirt. And I just wanted someone to talk to, because half
Yes.
the dirt I did, I could say now, all the dirt I did, I didn't really want to do it. There was peer pressure involved. There was, I used like sex as an escape. Fighting and stuff was just to prove a point. But all of that was because I had those internal things happening inside of me, and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how to express it. A lot of times in my mentoring, the youth don't have the language to express what's happening inside of them.
Yes.
And sometimes you'll hear them try, and they get frustrated and angry because
With
they don't
even trying to
know.
express themselves.
they're
Yeah.
they're trying, and we're not listening. And so, again, going back to being self-aware, and the reason for us doing these lives is just bringing that awareness, the resources, and the outlets of counseling that is available to the community, because a
Yes.
lot of people don't know, they shy away from, or they just feel like, ain't nothing gonna change.
Right.
Nothing ain't gonna change if you don't change, and that's just the
Exactly.
facts.
That's
But if
right.
you want change, the resources are there. The
Yes.
community is there. And one of the things that I love that you did bring up is, the fact that they face, or they think that they would face a lot of judgment,
Hmm.
but it takes a mature individual to understand that they have a voice too. When we
Yes.
was growing up, it was like, you sit down somewhere and be quiet.
Yes.
We don't
Yes.
care about your feelings,
Yes.
and we in a different time now. We got to
Yes, we
care.
are. Yes, we are.
We got to care. I mean, it ain't hurt us. It ain't hurt me,
Right.
but we do want them to be able to express themselves. And so
Yes.
what are some pointers you give to young adults or youth, or even parents, for just being able to express or listen?
Well, one thing that I've learned, and I'm glad you made a point about them, expressing themselves. But I find that one of the problems is that like you said, um, they don't know how to properly express themselves when they have certain things that's going on. But one of the things that I share with my youth is that we don't always know. We don't always have, a parent does not always have to initiate a conversation. We don't know what, we know that you guys are facing so much,
Yeah.
but have that conversation with your parent.
Yes.
Have that conversation with a leader in your community. Have that conversation with your teacher or someone in school that like, and trust. And
Yes.
and what I'm finding is that when you're open to them and you're listening to them, and one of the points you made earlier that I want to piggyback on is when you said that back in the days, like, shut up, be quiet, don't say nothing. You know what I mean? What I say, go.
Yeah.
But what I'm finding out with that is that we tell our kids now that they have a voice. But
Hmm.
once we tell them that and they really, really express what they're feeling, what they're going through, and now we're calling it disrespect.
Yes. I love
And
that you
that's a
highlight that.
problem. And that is
Hmm.
a problem because I'm finding out that when it comes to that point, now they don't want to talk to you
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're judging me already. You're judging
Hmm.
me already.
Hmm.
It's not disrespect. You said to say
Express
how I
myself.
feel, express myself. You say that I have a voice, but when I speak, I'm being disrespectful. So I think that that is another thing because we're way back there,
Yeah.
but these kids have to express themselves. And I'm finding that when they have to show, because we have to respect our parents, we have to
Hmm.
respect those in
Yes.
authority, but some of these kids are really, really feeling it and they're
Hmm.
expressing it, and we're not accepting to their expression.
And I think that goes back to us because now, and I'm saying back in the day and our age, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting up there. But I believe that as much as we have now, our generation has now
Yes,
accepted that, okay, we need to hear the younger generation. We also have to accept that they don't have the language a lot of times. And so it may come off disrespectful because of how we were raised,
right.
right? And
Mhm.
so it goes back again to what you were saying, what having a listening ear. And, we got to be quick to listen and slow to speak because
Yes,
you get the understanding of
right,
where someone is coming from.
right.
And this is so good because when you hear that the statistics, what the national statistics are for gun violence and suicide and how high that percentage is amongst the youth, it is heartbreaking.
It is
It's
very hard.
heartbreaking because I can remember when I was there and just wanted somebody to bail me out of my thoughts. When
Absolutely.
your thoughts have you in a mental prison. And so when you don't have that, and thank God I found it, because let me tell you, being very familiar with the voice of suicide, that voice sounds very soothing.
Wow.
It sounds like it's the greatest peace in the world, but it's a lie because
Right.
you may think that you're in peace, but you know, you're leaving people in sorrow. It's
Yes,
a selfish act,
it is.
you
Yep.
know?
It's a
And
selfish
so
act.
and so I'm familiar with that, but also grateful that I had the outlet, again, to bail me out of that mental jail. And
Mhm.
I think we just have to bring more awareness to the fact that, the youth are the youth, they ain't going anywhere, but we all need each other.
Yes.
Every generation needs each other. We need the
Yes.
generation before us to teach us this wisdom before they go on ahead and
Yes.
sail away. We need to impart in the generation behind us. And so once we come into that place of understanding, I definitely believe that we will see a great decrease in violence.
Yes, I
It will
agree.
always point back to self-awareness.
Yes, and I completely agree with that. And as you went back as far as, back in the days and us learning from those that were before us, and thinking about today's society, families aren't gathering at the table anymore. They're not having
Mm,
those table
they are
conversations.
not.
And the thing about it, I in that sense, I don't blame the youth, because it comes to a point where we have to stay in a certain, I don't know if we could call it like tradition or whatever, but
Yeah.
having those table talks, sitting at the dinner table, watching
Yeah.
movies together,
Yeah.
nobody's
Being
doing that.
connected.
There
Being
you go,
connected.
being connected and connected in that love. So it's like, I think it's a lack of communication, it's a lack
Yeah.
of unity in homes now. You have friends
Hmm.
come over, everybody's in a different phone and different
Yeah.
algorithms and all of this
It's
stuff that's going on, and it's
yeah.
like, wow. And I noticed that. I actually kind of did a study in my home
Hmm.
one time, and I'm like, okay, I had a little spot for the phone. So friends come over, you're gonna put your
Put that
phones
phone right
in
there.
separately.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Enjoy the moment.
Enjoy the
Enjoy the
moment.
moment while they last. You know, people rather take a picture of somebody being abused or shot at than
Yeah.
to help apply
Hmm.
pressure on the wound. You
Yeah.
know, they're taking
Yeah.
pictures before they, you know what I mean? So it's just so much influence, like you were saying earlier about
Yeah.
the social media influence, you
Hmm.
know, the lack of guidance, peer pressure, trauma, or could it be
Yes.
something deeper? You
It
know what
you
I
know,
mean?
as you're highlighting the disconnection, it's amazing because like we're supposed to be even more connected now because of the phones,
Correct.
but it's like you find that it has brought a big disconnection and into a world that is not real, and so I definitely agree with sitting at the table. Bring back the table.
Yes.
Bring back the table. Bring back the are you okay? Bring back the how was your day?
Yes.
And I know that right there is a whole big topic because then you have more families that are not families anymore, right?
Correct.
A higher divorce. We're looking at a higher divorce rate, separation of family. It's a lot. And so you have single parents that are working 2 and 3 jobs just to provide for their family. So then when you get home, it's tiring. And
Yes.
even though you want to cook that nice meal and have those table conversations, it gets tiring. So it really has to be a push. You really have to be, and I say this is the word of the century, and I ain't gonna stop, intentional
Intentional.
about being connected with your family and your friends.
Yes.
And so even that, when when you look at it, that brought self-awareness,
Yes. It did.
you
It
know
did.
and connection helps you get to that place. Connection helps you, you sit at the table with my parents and they was Jamaican, and you got to have a strong heart
Yes.
when it comes to Caribbean parents. But nonetheless, they was going to tell you the truth. They was going to tell you,
Exactly.
you need to look into this because you ain't cookies and cream over here.
Right.
And so those traditions, as you said, you know, there's some things that you could do away with because of time,
Right.
but that right there, bring back the table.
Bring back the table.
Bring back the table.
Bring back the table,
Because
y'all. Bring back the
listen, it helped
table.
us grow.
Yes.
We may have
Yes.
had some attitudes sitting there listening to all of whatever, but
It
it
taught us
didn't hurt
something.
us. Yes.
It taught us something, and it was something that we can look back on. And you know what? I'm so grateful just to be able to be part of this Peace in Me live, because this is something that we really need to bring awareness about. We need to let our youth know that they have an outlet, to let them know that we're here. We're willing to listen, join the conversation, so I'm just grateful to be,
Yes.
part of this type of initiative,
Yes.
just bringing that awareness, because as you said before, Monique, we need each other.
We need each
We
other.
need each other more now than we ever
Yes.
did. And this is the
Yes.
time where we should be unified and not
Exactly.
divided.
Yes.
So I'm just hoping that, what we're doing now, that we can get people to, you know, join in, to tune in,
Yes.
and to take the pledges, and to just,
Yes.
because peace starts with me.
He
Peace
starts
starts
with
with
me.
me,
He starts
so
with me.
it starts in the home. It
Yes.
starts with, in your community. It starts in your school. But the
Yes.
ideal person that it starts with is me. Peace
It
starts with
is me.
me. Peace starts with you.
That's
And that
right.
that is something that's huge. And it's not a movement. It's a
Yes.
mindset.
It is a
So that's something
mindset.
that you have to be intentional. As you
Mhm.
said earlier, you have to be intentional about
Mhm.
wanting that change. Like they say, be
Yes.
the change you want to see.
Be the change you want to see, and that will never
So
get old because it is facts.
ever.
I am grateful for Commissioner Dunn. I'm grateful for the connection that she has caused in the community with this
Yes.
initiative. I believe that it's something that will live on past her, and that's legacy. And
Yes.
so when we come together and we're doing these lives and we're asking everyone to get involved. When you
Yes.
see this live, just click on and listen, because
Yes.
I'm telling you, I know that there will be great information given, great resources,
Yes.
and you'll be able to tap into what is really happening inside of you. And as I said before, everybody got something that they got to deal with.
Everybody.
Are you brave enough? Are you brave enough to see what that something is and to take
Yes.
accountability for it? Because again, peace starts with me. And so we're not going to hold everybody any longer, but we need your interaction. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your concerns. We want to hear what causes you not to have peace, because the whole goal of this is to bring resolution as much as we're able to. And so thank you all for joining us. Shout out to Commissioner Melissa P. Dunn, who is
All
running
right.
with the vision. I am looking forward to the fifth annual Peace Walk in Lauderhill, as well as the Peace Festival. It is going to be amazing. We have
Yes.
some just unique ministers, performers, those that have been, it's been laid on their heart to get involved. You all don't miss this. This is going to happen on June 6th. Be connected with the city of Lauderhill to find out all of the updates for the Peace Walk and the Peace Festival. It will be great. You do not want to miss it. Precious,
And we want to see you there. We want to see you at the Lauderhill Walk for Peace Fest, which will be on June 6th. So we would like for you to come out. Everything that Monique Henry discussed, our chairwoman, and we would like for you to just come out, join the conversation. We have a few more lives that we will be doing, and we want you to join the conversation. Will you be ready to share what you have been going through or what you need to help move on? Share those questions, share those thoughts live with us. So we'll continue this conversation, and we thank you so much. And remember, peace isn't just a movement, it's a mindset. We want to see you there next time. And as Prophetess Monique Henry said, you see the logo or the link come up across your screen, click on it and just join the conversation. Peace.
People here really known to lead the way. Ain't no shame, we came a long way from hurt and pain. Band together like we drumming up 100K. What a lovely day. Lauderhill, Lauderhill, Lauderhill.